How we doing, YouTube? Jesse's Words Live. I haven't updated a video in a while. It's been since, I guess, April, since the pandemic hit. And I guess I'll make a video today. As of all my videos, I just talk off the dome. I don't have anything written at this point. So I guess I'll just elaborate on today's video. What should we make this video about? I guess we should make this video about what a lot of people are going through, what the YouTube and the media or social media is calling a spiritual awakening, where people go through this mental collapse or this mental institution where they feel a certain type of way, a lot of mixed emotions. I haven't really done a lot of research on the topic because the word spiritual awakening sounds like out of body experience or some metaphorically speaking soul or something, out of our human contact or reach. But I guess I'll talk about it in context. So basically, a lot of people is going through some changes in life, and what I think is really going on is that us as humans, we are going through a transition between different ways of living, different environmental stimulus or stimuli, where your environment, first of all, we are a product of our environment. So if our environment was to change, then we as a product are going to change as well. And I guess that's what's really going on, is that since our environment has changed or is changing or is evolving at the moment, then we as human species, as an intellectual beings that read, write, learn, and are self-aware, are going through these manifestations. Manifestations meaning changes within our psychology or psyche, or however you want to put it. In layman's terms, our place of living is changing, so our mind is changing. And what does this mean? Well, it means that there's going to be a lot of changes within us, within our mind, within the way we think, within the way we speak to each other. Some have gotten fearful because of an infection or virus or disease, and they have locked themselves up in their room. Some have gone through some financial burden, loss of jobs, small businesses closing, and some have not really been affected by it, and those who have not been affected by it, well, congratulations, you made it through. And those who have been affected by it, congratulations, you made it through another chapter of life. You have reached another level of subconscious thinking. You have reached another level of what they call spiritual awakening. Now, what does that mean? It means that you're transitioning from one phase to another. Now, you might think this is a burden on yourself or a burden on your family. You have lost your job, maybe lost your family, or lost both, or were enrolled in school and could no longer keep up with your grades, or whatever the situation is. If you're a single mom, maybe you've find it extremely difficult to maneuver yourself through the situations. Maybe you had to give up some of your parental guidance to a family member that was well better off. Now, there's several things that are happening in the world right now, and I like to keep it just politically correct and say, I don't know if you guys heard that there is a major shift in wealth being exchanged from one hands to another. So if you study the history back in the 1900s or 20 years before, I might be incorrect, don't pinpoint me on every date, there was a discovery of oil. We went from farming to an oil production, which have kick-started a numerous industries, one being the Carnegies with the steel, Rockefeller with the oil, gave birth to the Rothschild family. Haven't really done extensive research on the Rothschild, but I do know about the Carnegies and the Rockefellers and, other industries that emerge from oil, some shipping, some the trains, steel, you know, was a byproduct of trains, and you know, Bell, which invented the telephone, and Tesla, which invented electricity, Westinghouse, J.P. Morgan. All those families were able to create a lot of wealth, and they kept the wealth within the family. Now we are seeing a different sector in our society, which is the birth of technology. Now a lot of people are saying, what birth of technology? We don't see flying cars, we don't see autonomous vehicles yet. But if you pay attention to the slope of farming, the farming sector, if you pay attention to the slope of the industrial revolution, which is the production of oil and its byproduct, you would know that you can apply the 80-20 rule, where 80% of its exponential growth was within 20% of the time, which the graph looks something not in a linear position, but in a spike position. Now I believe we are somewhere right here, and we are going to see a spike within the next 5 to 10 years exponentially. Now what does this mean? Well, it means that the new companies that have emerged will receive most of the assets or liquidity, as in money. So from the people that we have mentioned before to the new elites, inventors, investors, which is still J.P. Morgan, Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, Warren Buffett with stock exchange. He was able to be in the middle of both exchanges. Bezos with Amazon, a lot of tech companies. Elon Musk was Tesla. A lot of tech companies were able to receive a lot of that funding. Now, if you know the way democracy works, when you first hear the word democracy, people think of voting. But when I hear democracy, the first thing I think of is an exchange of money between corporations and, I guess you could say, the White House for elections, right? The elites, the corporations, promise so much money for their campaign to vote either Democrat or Republican or whatever other party there is. People don't know there's other parties, but there is. To have laws changed to their favor. Now, when people hear, which is either Republicans or Democrats, right? People hear Democrats, they relate the Democrats to prior Democrats in our generation. But this is a new type of Democrat. This is a new generation of Democrat. This is a new industrial or technological sector of Democrats. It is not what Democrat we had before. Keep in mind that $30 trillion is moving from one sets of hands to another. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, we all know that the elite has been controlling us. Well, let me say influencing us through the ways of Walmart has been influencing us to buy more. Target has been influencing us to buy more. The gas industries have been influencing us to, travel more, to get on the airplanes more, to view more countrysides or whatever, right? And with the pandemic hitting, that just put a major stop to going shopping to Walmart, going shopping at Target, getting on the airplanes and traveling somewhere, or getting on the railroads, or, a lot of these industries have been hit. Now, the industries that haven't been hit are Facebook. People are home, they're Facebooking it, they're on social media, they're reading, they're writing, and people are exposing fake news, and people are, interacting with each other. Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, those are all byproducts of Facebook. Google, acquired, the Alphabet company acquired, Google Chrome. You got, Gmail, which is a very good email platform. And you have YouTube, which is a very, very great place to receive your information. Now, keep in mind, everybody uses these social media sites differently. Me personally, I use them for knowledge gain and personal growth, and information to see what's going on around the world. Now, let's take a pause. I'll still keep talking. Most of you are watching. If I lost you, let me return you back to home. Basically, what's going on is your home, your environment, what you thought was the same, it's actually changing. It is changing. Now, we know, or some of us know, the implications of what Facebook, the negative implications of what Facebook and social media has brought to the youth, especially, children under the age of 11 have been suffering severely with, suicidal tendencies, poverty, lack of correct education. Now, all these poses a problem, not in our generation, but on our future generation. Now, how does that affect us? Well, as a species of humankind, we have always have an evolutionary tendency to survive. But not only to survive, to make sure our offspring survive. So, are we really doing the proper thing right now at this moment to ensure that our offspring survive? Now, when I say the word survive, you might think they're living. But survival is not just living. Survival is living at a greater value by having your medical needs met, by having your educational needs met, by having your proper housing needs met, making sure there's no lead in the water, making sure that children have 3 to 4 course meals. Are we really assuring our offspring that they will have all those things? Now, in the 50s, after the great the war, we had that one person from the home, which was usually the male, because the jobs were so hard at the time. Females decided they didn't want to work. They don't have to. They want to take care of the kids, which is perfectly fine. Jobs were very ruthless and dangerous back in the days. Man would come home. 20% of the men would not come home, or come home with the arm chopped off or an eye poked out, or, these were very tough conditions. But still, we managed to secure our offsprings, Now, Democrat, Republican, whatever the case was back then, we already know there have been several bubbles of what they like to call, or maybe it's transfer of wealth. Maybe they take away from the poor, from the low or medium income or high income, whatever the case is. We have seen wealth being exchanged within Reaganomics back in the late 80s, early 90s, 2008 with the housing bubble, we had other exchange of assets or wealth or whatever you want to call it, right? And who does this really impact? Well, it impacts the low middle income or middle income. Now, I know a lot of high income people are watching this video right now and saying, well, that's their fault, right? Why didn't they focus on education and work hard or whatever? But we know that the children of these high income earners are spoiled, pretty much. You know, they party excessively and get away from trouble, and they get stopped and pulled over and they let them go. And you know, that's just one case. Another case is that they do make it to college. Well, it just becomes a culture thing. Now, is either one correct or incorrect? I don't know. I like to play in the middle, give information of what I think. My mind is somewhere not aligned with low or high or middle. I tend to just think and evaluate and work and produce. So I have knowledge to share to you guys. If you are going through some type of mental breakdown, realize that it's a type of change that needs to happen within you, and you will get over it. You will overcome and succumb this situation in your life. Peace to y'all, much love, and here's another video of Jesse's Words of Life. Thank you.